G'day everyone, Dan here. Welcome to North Queensland Barbecue and Brewing. Today I'm doing something a little bit different and something that you wouldn't usually suspect of being done on an offset smoker, and that's chicken basil pesto. So I've done that a fair bit on this. It's one of our go-tos. Once a week I'll do it out here. I'll get out home from work and I'll throw it in the barbecue here and we'll cook basil pesto. I grow all the basil myself, so we're going to do everything from scratch. So this video might be a bit long, but I'll try to make it as informative as possible. So I make all the pasta as well. I've got a pasta machine here on my bar, and basically while I'm getting this barbecue heated up, I've got that started now, and I've got a cast iron fry pan in here ready to go as well, so you'll need that for later, but I'm just preheating everything. So what I've got 300 grams of flour, and this is the Molino type 00 flour, so it's good for pasta, good for pizza. But basically I've got that, and there's a little bit of salt in there, not much, just a pinch. 300 grams. And I learnt this, once again, watching YouTube videos. I think Pasta Grannies is one of those YouTube channels I watch, and it's really informative. So I've got 3 eggs. So basically from what I've researched, or one of the methods of doing so, is 3 eggs to, well, basically 1 egg per 100 grams of flour. So I just beat them up lightly, just scramble them, and that'll go into the centre here, into this pool. Now, this is a messy job. There's nothing about this that's neat. So if I make this look a bit crappy, I'm sorry, get over it. It is what it is. But yeah, it's just basically, I just fold that in. I said, I'm no expert pasta maker, I just do this myself at home, and you know, it seems to work out well. And it actually, since making it the first time, I haven't actually gone back to buying pasta. We just don't buy it anymore. We make our own now. I said it's a bit messy, but once you've done it like this, it's good to go. So I'll just get this kneaded into a ball, and this will take a few minutes, so just bear with me. So I've just been kneading this. It's still a little dry. I've still got a little bit of this left on the bench here, so probably wasn't quite enough egg in those 3 eggs that I had. A little bit left there, but not much. So what I'll do is this is what I do. So whether this is actually correct or not, I don't know, but it seems to work. I just wet my hands and just moisten my hands up, and then the moisture from my hands will then go onto the outside of the pasta dough, and it starts to pick up, and just you're not adding much moisture this way. You're just putting enough in there just to get that little bit extra rolled in, and I usually have to do this towards the end when I'm doing my dough ball. And you can see now, well, it's still, I've got to knead it a bit more, but we're starting to get that texture like Play-Doh almost, but a bit stiffer. So I'll just keep kneading this now till I'm happy with it and everything's worked in. As I said, I'm no expert pasta maker, but if I can do it, anyone can. Basically, if you need a little bit more water, like I said, I'll just a little bit on my hands. Like I said, this way you're not adding a heap, you're just adding that tiny bit. So I'm pretty happy with that. You can see that now. That's 300 grams, and that'll roll out enough to feed probably 4 people, 4 adults. So what I'll do is I'm just going to put this in the plastic bag here now and let it rest, and start going on with the rest of the cooking process, or the rest of the preparation of this basil pesto we're going to make. So I'll just clean everything up, and I'll put this away in the metal bowl, and I'll rest it just at room temperature now, probably for an hour, while I'm doing all my other cooking. Then I'll roll into pasta, and we'll show you that then. So I'm ready to start the actual basil pesto part of this dish. So the pasta's still aging, and I haven't rolled that yet. But I've got the smoker up, it's sitting at about 130 degrees there at the dial. And what I've got in here is I've got my cast iron fry pan. So to that, basically I'm just going to add a good amount of olive oil. This is a fairly well seasoned pan, so I don't usually have a lot of problems with anything sticking to it. What I've got 1 full onion finely diced, and I've got probably about 6 or 7 really big mushrooms all sliced up as well. So they're all going to go in here. Now this is not cooking that hot, so it's going to just really saute these down really gently for the next probably 60 minutes or so. I'll just keep that heat in here really gentle, break down the mushroom, break down the onion, then I'll add garlic and the other ingredients. What I will do now though is I'll add some salt. This is some of the Scorching Saddle Chili Company smoked rock salt. I can't remember which one this is. It's the chipotle and lime, I think. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that. Get some nice smoky flavour and also some salt seasoning in. And some black pepper as well. So I tend to season everything. When I do the chicken, we'll season that too. This way we're just seasoning from the start, so everything's getting a nice, good amount of seasoning on it. That'll break down into the cooking process. So that's the first part. Give them a good coat of the olive oil. Now I'll just shut the lid and come back in about half an hour when I'm ready to go with the next part of the process. So this is how we're looking now, about half an hour in. You can see that's starting to brown off nicely. The onions are still a bit hard, but they're starting to soften up now. So what I'll do, I've got 2 cloves of garlic, and I'm going to add them. So I just add the garlic about half an hour, 40 minutes into this cooking process. I have read that if you cook garlic too early, it can release a bit of flavours. Whether there's truth to that or not, well, I suppose when you burn it, it does taste like crap. So I add this about half an hour, 45 minutes in. There's no real chance of this burning. I just want to maintain as much of that garlic flavour as possible. So I'm putting 2 cloves in here, and I'm going to put another clove into the Basil Pesto, which we're going to make in a minute. But put that in there now. And just give that a good stir in. So it wouldn't be North Queensland barbecue and brewing if it didn't rain up here in the tropics, like it does. But anyway, it happens, so I've had to sort of turn the camera around, get it out of the rain. So what I've done, I've picked a whole bowl basically of basil, and I picked that straight fresh from the garden growing over there. I couldn't tell you how much there is, probably about 150, 200 grams, but there's a decent amount. So I'll just slowly get that in here, and add a heap of olive oil as well. I'm not going to put it all in at once. I'm going to break it down slowly, and I don't have a proper blender. I've got a NutriBullet. So a fair bit of olive oil into that. Add a bit of salt to start, and I can add more salt to taste. This is again the smoked salt from the Scorching Saddle Chili Company. Heap of black pepper. Once again, all to taste. This is your preference. I don't really go off any particular measurements. I just do everything by sight. So I've also got pine nuts here, and once again, probably about that much should be fine in my palm. To start with, once again, I can add a few more if I need them. So I'll start breaking this down. Just add a bit more of the basil. I can leave it in there longer if I want. I could probably add the whole lot, to be honest. This is just what I do when I'm making it. You won't go past making your own fresh basil pesto, seriously. Like, you can buy the store-bought stuff and you can do the same process as what I'm doing here. It's not really going to affect you that much. Just you will get a nicer flavour making it fresh. So I don't have any lemon, unfortunately, and usually I'd add lemon. I've got some lime, so I'll be adding just some lime juice. That's half a lime. That'll just give it some zest, some zing. And I've also got a small block of parmesan here, so I'll just grate that in there as well. And I love parmesan. It'll add a heap of flavour, salt. And I'm just going to basically grate this whole chunk into here. Actually, that's probably enough. I love parmesan. Now I'll just blend this till it's smooth. One thing I forgot to add to that was the garlic. So yeah, I just had to, it'll be fine. I'll just throw that in as well. That'll blend up, but I'll just give that a quick blitz up with the garlic clove in there. So sorry about that. I'm a bit carried away, trying to think of what I was trying to say. So I've got a piece of chicken breast here, and I've got some rashers of bacon as well. But before that goes in, I'm not going to put that in the fry pan. I'm actually going to sear it off down the end near the firebox first. I'm just going to hit that with a bit of salt. and a little bit of pepper as well. Now that'll go in down there. I'll just move this across. I'll put my bacon rashers in as well. This is just cooking bacon we got in a pack, but it's fine for what I need for doing this. I'm putting 3 in. I'm a big believer you can't have enough bacon. That'll all just sear off and render down and do its thing and cook away. And then we'll get that out, dice it all up once it's all cooked, and we'll throw it into the pan. One of the benefits to cooking the chicken like that is you'll get some crust on it. You know, you'll get a good sear. You'll get some of that smoke penetration as well from the iron bark going into the meat. It's not going to be smoked as if you did it in a bullet smoker. If you wanted to do an actual smoked chicken basil pesto, you'd actually throw that in the bullet smoker and smoke it over cherry wood or hickory, whatever, and really get that smoke flavour into it. But that's not kind of what we're going for here. I don't want to overpower the pesto with smoke, but I still want that wood fire going through it. So once again, a bit of a messy process this, but we've got our dough ball here. That's how we're looking. So I'll just run you through quickly how I do this. So I'll just basically cut this into portions, about 4, roughly even. Some of them a bit smaller than others, that's okay. I'll do one piece. This is actually my good bench top, so it's all good. I'll leave those over there. I'll get this, basically hit it with a rolling pin and flatten it out a little bit. Now you want to constantly add flour to this as you're doing it. So this has settings on it. You've got a thicker setting through to the thinner setting. So you can see I've made that into about what my hand is. And I just basically roll that through on the thicker setting. Then go down to the next setting. I'll just put a bit more flour on that. Roll it through to my desired thickness. I love this thing, and I love making homemade pasta. It's just, you know, not all cooking on barbecue is about making traditional things. To be honest with you, I've cooked a lot of stuff on barbecues now, and this is actually probably one of my favourite dishes to cook, to be honest with you. It's not all about briskets or ribs or all that traditional low and slow. It's essentially, I treat my offset as I would a wood-fired oven, essentially. When I'm down to my desired thickness, which I'm happier now with that, I've got this nice long length sheet of pasta here. So there's a couple of different ones. You've got a spaghetti maker and you've got this thicker pasta maker. So what I'll do now, I can actually probably cut that in half. And then I just place that through to get my, is it linguine? Whatever you call it. And there's my pasta strands, just like that. Hang them up on my little drying rack as such. And by the time I'm ready to take that basil pesto out, this will take about 5 minutes to cook, basically, in the it'll take about 5 minutes to cook in the boiling water with a bit of salt. So I won't bore you with the cooking process of that, but this is just quickly how I make the pasta up to go with the basil pesto. Right, so just a step I add, I've taken the bacon off, letting that cool to, and I'm going to dice it up really fine to throw in here. But before I actually throw the bacon in, because it's nice and crispy and cooked up well, is I'm going to deglaze this. Not so much deglaze. I'm going to add about, what's that, half a cup of white wine into that. So I'll just basically put all the onion mushroom into the white wine, and what will happen is that white wine will reduce, the alcohol will burn off, and the white wine, the flavour of the white wine will actually, it'll absorb into that, into the mushrooms, into the onion, and it'll help just soften it just that little bit extra. We've been on about an hour now. The chicken's in there, it's probably nearly ready to take off. I'll actually have it so it's probably still a little bit raw in the middle, because what will happen is, or just kind of, just not quite cooked, because we'll slice that, we'll rest it first when we take it off, and I'll probably take that off in about 5 minutes. I'll rest it, for about 10 minutes or so, let the juices come back in, then I'll slice it up nice and fine, and then I'll add that into there as well when I add the bacon. Alright, so that's how we're looking. Nice and close. And that's about an hour and a half. The white wine I put in about 10-15 minutes ago has reduced down a fair bit, and it's just bubbling away slowly. So what I'll do now is shut the lid, and I will prepare the chicken. So I've given this chicken a bit of time now, and I've diced the bacon up, but basically I'll just slice this up nice and fine as well. And the reason I gave it time to rest is because there is a fair bit of juice that will reabsorb back into that chicken. I'll just it's actually cooked fairly well. And it's actually quite nice, just cooked like that. So I'll dice this up nice and fine. Well, not nice and fine, but I'll give it good, reasonable sized chunks, and we'll get this in. So that chicken's super moist, and it's got a lot of juice in it, which is good. It's what I want. So now that's going to all go into that fry pan. And we'll let those flavours really start to amalgamate together for another couple of minutes. I'll just stir that all up, and then I'll add the basil pesto in about 5 minutes or so. Sweet, so I've given this a few minutes just to let that absorb in. I'm going to move the fry pan just to the middle again, get it away from the hot end. I just did that to let the alcohol evaporate off the wine. Now we're going to add our basil pesto. So, you can see how beautiful and green that is, and smells delicious. So I've got the majority out of there. What I'll do is I'll just put a bit of white wine in here, not much, just a splash. And get the rest of that pesto out of here. Don't be too worried about the moisture content. A lot of it will evaporate off, and you'll just add a lot more flavour with that wine. There'll be a little bit left in here still, but basil pesto, sorry, left in here still, but it just gets most of it, and it also adds a little bit more liquid in there to help break that pesto up, or help distribute the pesto into the meat. We're also going to add cream to this, but I'm going to give this about 5 minutes once again, just let those flavours just all meld together. This is a low and slow basil pesto basically. Like I think I've been out here now for 90 minutes, 80 minutes, 90 minutes so far, just doing this. This is what we're looking at now with this this food. So you can see it's looking quite pleasant, nice and green. We'll add the cream to that in about 5 minutes and we'll come back. Alright, so we'll just add this cream and then we'll let it sit. Basically half an hour, 45 minutes with the cream in it. It'll break down and evaporate and we should be ready to go. So I'll add that. Yeah, might as well put it all in. I've also got some corn flour here and some water. And I think there's a tablespoon and just the water. I'll add a half of that now, just to help thicken that up. I can always add a little bit more. I don't want it too thick, but I don't want it to be runny either. So once again, I'll just stir all that in, and we'll just let that now sit, slowly simmer away for the next half an hour, 45 minutes. Add wood to the firebox and just let it go. But that's smelling absolutely wonderful. So I've just taken this out, and that's the final product, and that's what it looks like there. And I've got the pasta there. So what I'll do is I'll just set this camera back up and we'll come back and we'll show you the serving. So now it's just a matter of serving this. So that ended up going another half an hour, 45 minutes. I left that. And this is the pasta I've made here. I cooked it for about 5.5, 6 minutes and then drained it. And I added a little bit of compound butter that I made. It's in another video of mine. But basically I just added some of that and stirred that through. And just add that extra bit of flavour. So we'll now give this the moment of truth, and I'll get Louise to try this because she's the ultimate taste tester. But it's just, like I said, it's one of my favourite meals, and it's just, don't ever think that a smoker can just be used for low and slow, because you can do so much in them. We put a bit of parmesan. I'll have black pepper on mine, but Louise doesn't like pepper like I do, so I shall put some parmesan on here. Mine will be a lot different. like I said, I'll add a lot of cracked pepper, but the taste tester shall come and taste this now. We'll let her make the final judgment on this and let us know what she thinks, because quite frankly I know it's going to be good. I eat it a lot.
Mix it all up.
I'll try a bit of mushroom while I'm waiting. Just wonderful basil flavours.
This is beautiful.
Yeah. It took about 3 hours to do, so yeah, if you don't have time, and obviously just for a basil pesto most people will just do it in a fry pan upstairs, but just the flavour, breaking all the onion down, the mushroom down slowly with the wood-fired sort of flavour to it, just adds an extra complexity to it, and all those flavours just meld into each other. You know, we sometimes actually put some dried smoked chilli in there as well, give it a bit of spice, but didn't do it tonight. But yeah, it's just really nice, and give it a go, see what you think, and until next time guys, take care.